Welcome back to Upfront. Milwaukee's newest police chief will be sworn in tomorrow. Chief Jeffrey Norman has been acting chief since last December. The city's Fire and Police Commission just appointed him to a 4-year term. And like other large cities, Milwaukee is facing challenges with spiking violence and a worsening reckless driving problem. We've invited Chief Norman here to talk about all of that and more. Chief, good to see you. Welcome to Upfront.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Matt.
Let's start with reckless driving. A recent op-ed I read described it as a city gripped by terror. Is that a fair characterization?
I will say more there's frustration, a constant awareness of what is going on in our city streets, but I also see a lot of energy behind solutions. Being a part of a recent reckless driving town hall with the faith-based partners, working with our community members. I know that we have done a number of outreach with various community stakeholders, but also the creation of the traffic safety unit, well received by the community in regards to seeing active enforcement going on a regular basis in regards to this reckless driving issue.
When you say active enforcement, is that increased enforcement?
Well, I will say that this is a consistent enforcement. This is where we are taking account of the reckless driving in the entire city. We are being mobilized based off of data, based off of requests that comes through our traffic safety unit website, mpdtsu.org, and that we are being responsive to the community needs of what they see, because I always say policing is information-based, based off of what we receive from our residents, but also, again, looking at the data, looking at traffic accidents, looking at issues of, crashes and whatnot.
The West Allis mayor recently came out with a proposal and said, let's increase the fines 50-fold, up to $10,000 for reckless driving. Is that a solution?
I would say that's part of many different offerings of solutions. One of the things I never want to take pride in is that enforcement of citations and thinking that that's going to be the all-encompassing solution. One of the things that MPD really adheres to is the 3 E's: education, enforcement, and engineering. Obviously, MPD takes on enforcement, but education is also just as important in regards to not only our young adults being able to learn how to be great drivers, but also in regards to reminders of traffic safety and ensuring that people are being aware of the concerns in the streets, but also engineering. I know our traffic safety unit officers are looking for opportunities to how can we change the streetscape, slow cars down, being a part of that working partnership with the Department of Public Works in regards to ensuring that we are slowing people, having that traffic, slow down, and ensuring that we have more safety for our pedestrians and also for our motor vehicle.
Some state lawmakers have reintroduced legislation again to allow red light cameras. Are you lobbying for that, and does that have any chance in your mind of passing this time around?
Well, I hate to use the word lobby, and I know there's more of someone who actually has that title and certification, but I would say I support it. I think that there is some issues of certain parts of our community who don't believe in stopping at red lights or ensuring that they're slowing down. So traffic safety lights like that will be helpful in regards to identifying, and also reminders that the city of Milwaukee is taking this seriously.
The city is also facing historic levels of violence, including homicides. Why is that?
Well, I hate to speculate, Matt. I believe that it's important to understand that we've seen a number of different firearm issues. We look at some of the causations, but the number one that we see from our data is unknown. Number two has argument that where I talk about the poor conflict resolution, unfortunately mirrored with the availability of firearms. So we've seen that those arguments are really going deadly in regards to that. You might have a disagreement, but turning to firearms as the necessary tool to resolve that disagreement, we need to work on that in regards to what can we offer better in regards to you might have disagreements, but it doesn't have to turn deadly.
In terms of 2021 homicides within this past year, what is the department's solve rate?
Oh, I believe we're hovering a little bit over 40%.
Is that acceptable?
Absolutely not. I mean, one unsolved homicide is never acceptable. We should always strive for 100%. We do have a capacity issue. One of the things that we're working on in regards to building a more robust investigative team, ensuring that we have all hands on deck in regards to being able to be part of those investigations. Again, using the resources that we have, not only from the department, but working with our public, because at the end of the day, we need information coming from the public in regards to what's going on, who's doing what. So building that community trust, allows us to have better relationships, to have higher clearance rates.
Some Republicans have said MPD and the city have demonstrated that they cannot solve this problem of violence alone. So they've proposed whether it be sending in State Patrol or National Guard to assist. Would you accept that?
Well, one of the things I always understand that there is a team approach to public safety, working with the community, working with our partners. I mean, I'm part of the Milwaukee County Law Enforcement Association. We work with a lot of our law enforcement partners, so it's always a good thing to work together. So I'm always embracing teamwork. I know we work with federal partners, we work with state partners. We've been doing that, and that's not something new in regards to, again, like we have the Reckless Driving Reduction Initiative. That's county sheriffs, that's State Patrol. We've been doing that for a number of years. So having these robust relationships, I'm very supportive of, and believe that's the only way that you're really going to have true impact in public safety, working with residents, working with our federal, state, and local law enforcement and other community stakeholders.
Is that different than this idea of deploying the State Patrol or the National Guard to the city of Milwaukee, do you believe?
Well, I would think that's pretty huge lift. Again, how much resources you believe in. That is a question that I say is unknown. We have really great men and women in the Milwaukee Police Department. I mean, we're the largest agency in the state. Understanding that we need to, again, work on what I say is the trust and legitimacy. Being able to build relationships with not only our residents, but with government entities and also community partners to really have a robust response to public safety. We're not there yet. We're working on it, but we're not there yet.
Let's broaden this out for a second. What do you believe is the image of MPD within the community?
Well, I will hope that there is a, well, I say hope, there's hopefulness. I believe there is a cautious belief that we're going in the right direction. We do have things that we need to atone for in the past in regards to incidents that has happened in the city, but also nationwide, that brings a darker cloud to the MPD.
Give me an example.
Well, I will say that if you want to talk about George Floyd, that's a nationwide situation that affected the entire country. That is attached to all law enforcement agencies in regards to what behaviors are you doing to, again, hold people accountable, ensure that they understand the community they serve. And that is a lift that we all have to take in regards to law enforcement across the nation, a reflective look. But again, working towards legitimacy, working towards trust allows us to have a better relationship in regards to information and also working cooperatively in regards to public safety.
Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman sworn in on Monday. Chief, thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
I also asked the chief about stop and frisk policies and replacing officers who have or are retiring. You can see our entire interview with Chief Norman on our website right now on the Upfront section of WISN.com. Coming up, threats against election officials, the measures being taken for safety next on Upfront.